I'm going to say something, and then I would love to get your response. And of course, I want to get the response of the audience, the chat. And let's get a little timeline on everything that happened with Colin Kaepernick and why I want to talk about this and why I think it's actually relative to what we're seeing today when it comes to activism as a brand. And this even goes beyond sports. Colin Kaepernick in 2016 tweeted out his disdain for what he was seeing as the unjust actions of law enforcement when he saw the extrajudicial killings of Philando Castile, Freddie Gray, Alton Sterling, and more. 2016, 2014. He was nursing an injury that season. He was on the sideline and he did not stand for the national anthem. A reporter noticed it and asked him after the game why he didn't stand. And Kaepernick replied with, "I am not going to stand up to show pride in a flag for a country that oppresses Black people and people of color. To me, this is bigger than football, and it would be selfish on my part to look the other way. There are bodies in the street and people getting paid leave and getting away with murder." Fair response. Kaepernick, the Niners, and the NFL were not prepared for the backlash that would follow. Kaepernick was now the new face of the right-wing culture war. Before fuckable M&Ms, Kaepernick was public enemy number one. Being portrayed in right-wing mainstream media as a selfish athlete that should be lucky that he's playing a child's game and making millions. Athletes shouldn't speak on social issues, many said. And how can he be that man anyway? He's not even all the way Black. Regardless of the negative press the league and the team, and of course Kaepernick were getting bombarded with, Kaepernick did what he could to save face for himself, his team, the Shield, as they say. And most importantly, brand Cap. He met with an ex-combat vet, Green Beret, that convinced him that kneeling was okay. You know, showing subservience to the flag and bowing down to your imperial overlord is totally a way to protest the loss of life that's turned the nightly news into snuff films. Kneeling. It's rebellious, yet respectful. Kneeling became all the rage with players in the NFL. Who would kneel and who wouldn't kneel was taking all of the oxygen out of the sports and even the mainstream media landscape. And even in these left spaces, that became quite a bit of the scuttlebutt. Cap was becoming a hero, and he was kneeling his way out of the league. This passive protest was too much, and the NFL conspired to keep Kaepernick unemployed. While Kaepernick has yet to play in the NFL since the kneeling protest, Nike had no problem with his antics, signing a multi-year, multi-million-dollar deal with the sports apparel giant. Their ad campaign with Kaepernick helped Nike raise their profits by $3 billion by 2019 reports. Also, Kaepernick settled out of court with the NFL on his collusion lawsuit for an undisclosed amount. So while people argue about the NFL being a racist and vile organization for scapegoating Cap, we can't deny that, and no one can. Cap was trying to protect himself and the league with his capitulation to kneel. Kneeling then became a bit of a brand exercise for many players in the NFL, as the anthem for a time was must-see TV. And as Capital often does, the NFL, the NBA, and so many others have co-opted any of the messaging embraced by BLM. In the aftermath of all this, rapper and business mogul Jay-Z was used to help launder the reputation of the league after the combination of kneeling players and ex-players committing suicide due to long-term post-playing brain injuries was happening. In a quote from The Undefeated about Jay-Z's partnership with the NFL, according to Jay, the kicker was the ability to bolster the league's Inspire Change program through a variety of avenues, including songs of the season that will entail inspirational songs from a handful of artists played during television broadcasts, and the Beyond the Field, which will feature voices and perspectives of NFL players on a multitude of topics. Responding to questions about whether his partnership negates his previous support for Kaepernick, who still doesn't have a job in the NFL, Jay said that it was about figuring out the next step. I think we've moved past kneeling, and I think it's time to go into actionable items. It's a quote from the article in The Undefeated in 2019. Jay-Z's relationship with the NFL was purely financial, motivated by him becoming the curator of one of the most watched television shows, Super Bowl halftime show. So where does this leave us? Protest is merely spectacle. Negotiating with the enemy on how you should disobey seems obscene, but it's what happened, and it was applauded. Nike, the NFL, who did great ratings this season, are not fazed by this sort of disobedience. The new generation of players are brand conscious and loyal more to the dictates of the market than the people. I think this is less about one's character and more about the epoch we're currently in. All rebellions co-opted for maximum monetization. So I ask, what happens when revolutionary is just a brand?
You need to do the cheering thing now. Good job.
Thank you for watching. Please don't forget to hit like and subscribe on your way out. You can catch the live stream of This Is Revolution every Tuesday through Thursday at 6 p.m. Pacific Time and Saturday, 9 a.m. Pacific Time. This is Revolution.